AskReddit by Salty Mick. People of Reddit, what do you miss about the COVID lockdown period? Not feeling guilty for never leaving my home and all of the quality time my girlfriend and I spent together. The background noises being switched off, no traffic, no planes in the sky, no horns blaring. Also the sense of community it brought with neighbors checking in on each other and if anyone needed anything. In my town all the restaurants literally turned into like grocery stores where you could get cooked food but also things like TP, oil, flour, raw chicken, raw burgers, etc. The wild animals exploring cities being all like, where'd the noisy apes go? OMG, turkeys everywhere. I actually saved a lot of money. I finished paying off my school debt and saved some. Unfortunately inflation caught up and now I'm playing jump between the red and black. Not having a cold for 2 years. I've still managed to avoid getting COVID, but since returning to in-person work I've gotten just about every other cold under the sun. I haven't gone 2 solid weeks without a cough and a runny nose in the past 6 months. The empty roads. My god, the empty roads. Don't forget the cheap gas. Driving was the best during lockdown. The silence, especially in the first days when the lockdown started. The whole world around me got silent. No more cars, no machines in the distance, no airplanes flying above. Just sound of nature and a gentle breeze. I loved it. In July 2020, it dawned on me that there were practically no airplanes in the sky. I ventured out to get a night sky shot I'd been dreaming about. https://i.red.it/s0jwnp3nlea51.jpg. Edit. Thanks for the kind words. I have to add a caveat that you can't see the night sky like this with the naked eye. It requires long exposure photography. Honestly, when it all started and we were all making bread and didn't really know what was going to happen, I hate to admit it, but it was kind of exciting. Completely agree. 2021 part of the pandemic I found quite depressing, but in 2020, when everything was going crazy, it felt exciting. There was camaraderie, and everyone was trying new hobbies. The reduction in air and noise pollution. So true. There is a hill nearby my house. After lockdown I went up the hill and noticed mountains in the distance that I never saw before. Commuting reduced to none, 100% WFH. And the occasional trips to the office taking 10 minutes instead of an hour. And X200B. I do miss empty roads. And X200B. Edit. Well, there goes my mailbox and my most upvoted comment. Thanks kind strangers for the internet points. My company had record years in 2020 and 21. So naturally we're being told to come back to the office. Geniuses. My German Shepherd boy, Bjorn, died almost 2 years ago. Got to spend all day every day with him in 2020. Both my dog and the family dog passed within 3 weeks of each other in April 2020. That effing sucked, but one of my brothers, a fellow dog lover, said, I hope this doesn't sound awful, but the silver lining is that you got to spend his last days at home with him. Everyone was just like, just get what you can done. Finished university during COVID and last semester was like, fuck it, I'm passing everybody on the final. We're all dying. Have a great summer. I also finished my degree during COVID and got to say I think that's what retirement will feel like for me. School was relatively easy and only had to be on Zoom like 1 to 2 times a week. Worked out at home with my roommates, started playing guitar, painting, reading again. I guess I just finally had time to enjoy my hobbies again. I miss it sometimes. Deleted. I think about this constantly because I would go for these walks in the beginning of spring and could smell every new flower and plant. I couldn't believe it. And I knew it was new because I don't drive, so I already walk everywhere and know what it smells like. Having the excuse to not go anywhere. We lived in an introvert's world for a blissful year. Being left the hell alone. This should be higher up. Doesn't matter how busy the roads are if you don't have to go anywhere. I miss the lack of expectations. No commuting fuel costs. Basically a £300 a month pay rise. It was the healthiest I've ever been. It was the wealthiest I've ever been. It was the happiest I've ever been. It was the most freedom I've ever enjoyed. It was much easier to do my job working from home. I saved a fortune on gas. I got ample sleep. I enjoyed hobbies and started new ones. My social life actually improved because, living in a duplex, my closest friends lived in the other unit and also worked from home, so we were free to hang out at will, never having to worry about or be disappointed by our schedules or the hassle of making arrangements. My girlfriend at the time stayed with me for lockdown, never left, and now we're getting married. I know many people had a tough time, and I know I had a very privileged lockdown experience, but I feel like it is my life's ambition to return to some form of the sweet awesomeness of lockdown. Deleted. My husband being home. It was so nice. We went on bike rides with our daughter almost daily. I really miss this too. Open highways on the way to and from work. Oh my god, empty roads. Now I know why driving was fun in the 50s. Felt I was about to burn out, then lockdown happened. Managed to finally chill, probably the best few months of my life. I was in a similar position. I was moments away from quitting my job because I was so burnt out, which I'm not in a position to do financially by any stretch of the imagination. Then I went on a long weekend vacay, got back, and the world was on lockdown, and we started WFH, which allowed me to find more balance and stay with my company. Not having to commute 60-70 minutes and spend an hour every morning getting ready meal prepping made all the difference in my happiness and physical mental health. People being kind and supportive to each other. It didn't last long, but it was nice while it did. For that short while at the beginning, the we are all in this together vibe felt nice. Visitor restrictions at the hospital where I work. I'm a nurse in OB. We saw such a huge increase in breastfeeding success rates, maternal well-being, from all the rest, and partners bonding so much more at the births. So much said to moms and AMP, partners being able to exclusively bond and rest for the few days after birth. Miss those days already so much. Deleted. No social obligations. I'm a colossal introvert. It was 4 months into COVID before I looked up one day and said, you know, I'd like to hang out with some people. Stores cleaning and sanitizing surfaces. Also people not being on top of you when you check out. The animals coming back out. Makes you really think about how human activity has impacted wildlife. It was okay to be struggling mentally. Now it just feels like everyone expects you to just shake it off and go on like nothing happened. That, and I miss people actually giving a shit about sanitation and not spreading the virus. Now that the pandemic is over, I'm seeing people who are obviously sick walking around without a mask and coughing without covering their mouths. Being at home. No one crowded me in line at the grocery store. It was nice not having someone inches behind me. The rise and fall of Tiger King. That sense of shared experience was great. Reminded me of early Pokemon Go. I was an essential, so I never experienced a lockdown. I guess you can say I missed the lockdown because the only thing that changed in my life during pandemic was never getting a day off. Nothing was locked down for me. Same. Had to work every day too pretty much. Even if things were crazy at work, Morning ready changed. Just chaos. Sleeping till noon. I miss my friend who died during lockdown. Not being sick. I mean, months at a time of no illnesses is something we'll never experience again. And then not having to deal with all the family members and people. For some it was a struggle. For me it was relief. All of it. Minus all the dying people. I miss the camaraderie and the feeling that we're all in this together. People made cards, opened their windows to sing, helped deliver groceries, had socially distant dance parties in their driveways, and did whatever they could to help each other and keep their spirits up. Now we're all back to being vindictive and not caring what happens. Eater, I do acknowledge that these things didn't happen everywhere to everyone, and for those of you who went through hell and lost people, I'm truly sorry for what you went through. I just tried to find a little bit of good during the lockdown. When my essential job actually cared enough to give employees with active, confirmed cases of COVID paid time off to recover. As of November, it changed to choices include using PTO and taking an unpaid leave to recover. They never come out and say that coming to work with COVID is an option, but it's heavily implied. Eater, I just got COVID again, and now need to burn most of my personal days before I even work a single day this year. Distance and coughing etiquette. Now everyone is back to old habits where I live. Also, now people with sniffles come to work. I hate it. It just feels inconsiderate and that we have learned nothing. And we had some sad lessons. This is the one that irks me about public spaces. Have you all learned nothing? Don't fucking cough all over us even if it isn't COVID. Wear a damn mask if you're sick or just stay the fuck home. I still wear a mask in public spaces even if I'm not sick because people are gross. Animals everywhere. Being an introvert and not having to go anywhere or have plans. Getting paid to do fuck all. I miss the early COVID optimism. When it still felt sort of weird and fun and people were like posting about their new hobbies and having Skype dates with their family and we just thought it would be a weird 2 or 3 weeks. Then that shit fell apart and now everyone hates each other and there's no money, and if I'm being honest, I've been reading about the French Revolution, and I think America may already be collapsing. Having my dog around 24/7. Best time was doggo time. Endless MW search and destroy. Social distancing. You would love Finland. There's a joke that goes, now that the mandatory 6 feet distancing has been lifted, Finns can go back to being 16 feet apart from each other. I miss when going on hikes and walks was really the only thing we could do outside of the home. We have such beautiful walking trails all around our home, and when there was no distraction from other entertainment choices, just getting exercise and enjoying nature with my family was nice. Not having to actively avoid awkward social situations. They just literally couldn't happen. Rose's Iman Beck remix. Online school consisted of a Google Meet and 3 hours of work. Now it's 7 hours of school plus homework plus extracurricular activities. Edit, back to 7 hours. It felt like there were only 1-2 things on the news at a time. I didn't feel bombarded with new problems in the world. Wild. I felt the exact opposite.